You're listening to the Awkward High Five podcast. You can follow along in your book. You'll know it's time to turn the page when you hear the chimes ring like this.
So I jump ship in Hong Kong, and I make my way over to Tibet, and I get on as a looper at a course over there in Himalayas.
A looper?
A looper. You know, a caddy, a looper. Jack. So I tell him I'm a pro Jack. And who do you think they give me? The Dalai Lama himself. The 12th son of the Lama. The flowing robes, the grace, bald. Striking. So I'm on a first tee with him. I give him the driver. He hauls off and whacks one. Big hitter, the Lama. Long. Into a 10,000-foot crevice right at the base of this glacier. Do you know what the Lama says?
No.
Gunga Galunga. Gunga Gunga La Gunga. So we finish 18, and he's gonna stiff me. And I say, hey, Lama, hey, how about a little something, you know, for the effort, you know. And he says, there won't be any money. But when you die, on your deathbed, you will receive total consciousness. So I got that going for me, which is nice.
I don't know when I'm ever going to get bored of this.
Such a young Murray, that is.
That was young-ass Murray.
Yeah.
That was so young-ass Murray that Brian Doyle Murray in that film was thin, had a head of hair and shit.
Right, yeah.
I watched, sorry, I'm not done with my sound effects.
And I can't think about that blip without getting grossed out.
My favorite part of it, that's, I mean, every second of that film is quotable, but that's one of my favorite parts of the movie, just because the whole time he's doing it to that poor kid, he's just sticking a pitchfork literally into his neck. Like, every time I'm watching it, I'm like, how did he not puncture this kid? Because the pitchfork's going fucking so great. That movie's so genius. Welcome to the Awkward High Five podcast. My name is Devin.
And I'm Ritchie.
And, yeah, I watched a documentary the other night on the National Lampoon, and so my nostalgia for all these movies like Animal House and Caddyshack, even though Caddyshack wasn't technically a National Lampoon film, but Animal House, Vacation, Caddyshack.
But so what was National Lampoon's, like their crew?
Well, no, the National Lampoon was a
magazine.
It was a magazine,
oh, okay.
Yeah, right. It came out of Harvard, and they still have the Harvard Lampoon. Like, that's kind of a different thing, but they started the National Lampoon back in the, I guess it was the early 70s, and it became like a pretty big magazine for a long time. You know, it was like one of the biggest comedy magazines. But what they did is they went in and got, at a certain point for their radio show, and a whole bunch of different like people wrote for it. You know, John Hughes wrote for it. You know, a lot of guys who ended up becoming big writers and directors in Hollywood.
Yeah.
But for their radio hour, they went and got a bunch of people from Second City who just happened to be Brian Doyle Murray, Bill Murray, John Belushi. No, not John Candy. He wasn't a part of it, but Chevy Chase, Gilda Radner. You know what I mean? And then all the movies started. So if you haven't seen it, it's I think it's available. It might not be on Netflix, but it's definitely available on like Amazon and stuff. It's really cool. If you're into comedy at all,
documentaries coming out.
I am really stoked to watch the Jaco Pastorius documentary, which is out now. I haven't. I think it's been out for like about a month.
Who is that dude?
Jaco, the bass player for Weather Report, the fretless bass guy, Mental Case, one of the best bass players ever lived.
Yeah, why do I know who that is?
Because you would know him. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you know, he's not your scene. He was more of a jazz fusion kind of guy, but unbelievable bass player. And this loop is still going on. And actually the dude from Suicidal Tendencies and who plays in Metallica now, Robert Trujillo or whatever, he put this together, and it's like it's been working on it forever. I listened to an interview with him, and he was like, it just sounds unbelievable. I'm a big Jaco fan anyway. You know, like I like Weather Report and all that stuff. So, and I know, see, in my situation, because what happened was we were just a bunch of like punk rockers. Even though I always considered myself kind of musically, like I knew about music whether I liked it or not. But growing up, we like kind of were like one kind of, I don't even know how to say it, like tunnel vision, you know, like we liked everything else, but we were just so into the punk thing that was our whole thing. And then when I started working at my job after college when I was 23, I quickly had to like start learning about all this. I was kind of, not that I had to, but you just ended up meeting all these different dudes because it was all about playing guitar. So like before I knew it, I was learning about all these guys that I kind of knew about. And one of the stories that you always hear about is Jacko, about how, you know, how he ripped the frets out of his bass, and then he became how he died, and you know, and all the crazy shit that happened in his life. So I kind of know the story, but to finally see it in like a documentary thing, I'm really looking forward to that.
Yeah, and there's that punk rock documentary coming out too.
What's that?
It's called Riot something.
Oh, I didn't even hear about it.
Riot on the Dance Floor. It's called.
Oh yeah, who's in it?
I don't know who's in it. I saw it on the Daily Show with Jon Stewart. He was like advertising it.
Jon Stewart, he's not even on the Daily Show anymore.
Oh, then whoever it is.
Trevor Noah.
Yeah,
Trevor Noah, that African guy who's like, the funny, and you know what I'm just going to say? The funny thing about that, I'm not taking anything away from Trevor Noah. I've never been like a giant, I wasn't ever one of these Daily Show Colbert Report guys. Like, if I happen to watch it, I like it. I have nothing against it, but I wasn't one of these people that like went there for my news and watched it on a nightly basis and everything. And maybe it was just the fact that it was always just there is one of the reasons that I didn't. But the thing with Trevor Noah, whether he's funny or not, and I watched a couple of his stand-ups, and I actually didn't find it that funny.
Oh, that guy, I hate that guy.
Yeah, right. But people love him, but I don't know if it's the right move or the wrong move, but it's definitely a blatant like security move that Comedy Central did, is because they got this dude who, number one, is handsome as hell, a pretty well-known stand-up, but he's also he's a black dude from South Africa, you know, who's like internationally known. So they went and got like somebody that they could cover all the bases with. Like they didn't want to offend anybody. Like if he would have been half Jewish, they would have been the happiest people on the face of the earth. You know? And I'm not taking anything away from the dude. You know, he's got a following, and whether I think he's funny or not doesn't matter. But yeah, you could just tell blatantly what Comedy Central did with that. They're like, this guy is going to be it, you know, for the next 20 years because he's just such a handsome guy. But he's black, but he's this, but he's that, so he's never going to offend anybody. We don't have to worry about anything, you know? I always thought that was kind of funny.
And he says whatever the fuck he wants, too, because of that reason, probably.
Yeah, right. But you know what? The stand-up that I saw of his, and look, I could be totally naive. I might go back and watch it and love it. But, like, his bits were like, I'm from South Africa, and we call zebras there. And that was like his whole thing. He did like 5 minutes on how they call them zebras and we call them zebras and how we're stupid for it. And I'm like, who gives a fuck, you know? But
God, that's
whatever.
Pretty bad.
He's one of those, you know, look at me, I'm handsome, you know, I'm cute and handsome guys, and then everybody loves it.
And I can say whatever I want, and you'll be blinded by it.
Yeah, but I don't even know if he uses it to that extent, you know? I think he's just a really nice guy. I don't think he's like, you know, and I don't need him to be up there and be super blue, like, oh, you know, like I was sucking a cock in South Africa or something like that. It just wasn't my taste, whatever. What I wanted to start this show off with and tell you is
Allen Wrench.
No, it's not about Allen Wrench. I think you made your point on that very clear last show.
I want him to go down.
I watched a film last night. I wanted to have an experience like. I got done with my work and we weren't doing the podcast. I didn't really have much to plan for that, so I had like kind of some open time. I was by myself. I wasn't hanging out with any ladies or anything like that. And I was like, I'm gonna watch a movie. And I was thinking about these podcasts that we've done and movies that we've talked about. And I said to myself, I'm going to watch Die Hard. Right?
Good.
And now here's the thing. First of all,
am I gonna be upset by that?
No.
Oh, okay.
Just follow me here.
All right.
First of all, I paid for it, which makes me the last human being on the face of the earth to ever pay for Die Hard.
I gave you the trilogy.
I know. I got whatever. It doesn't matter. It was. At first, I was like, oh, let me just go download it like off the internet or find it on YouTube or whatever. The million things you could do to get this thing for free at this point. But then I was like, no, I got a nice HD television. I want the full HD experience. You know, I'm going to turn down the lights. I'm going to smoke some fucking weed. I'm going to like get into this fucking movie. So
I'm doing that tonight.
I purchased the movie off of lovely Amazon or whatever, PlayStation Network or whatever it may be. And I started watching the movie, knowing in my mind that I had seen this movie before, but never paid much attention to it. I said, my best friend Richie is the biggest fan. We talked about it when Alan Rickman died. I'm going to watch this movie. It was probably about, 3 seconds into the movie that I realized I've never seen Die Hard.
Wow.
I've never seen Die Hard.
But you've seen 3.
Well, no, right. But here's the reason why, and I think I mentioned this in a previous episode, where there's some movies where you just feel like you've seen them all. Because the thing was there were certain lines of dialogue and there were certain parts of that movie that I knew. Like lines that you've been saying forever. I mean, obviously the yippee-ki-yay motherfucker, but even more subtle lines than that. And like images, like him with the bloody feet, walking with the gun, or him jumping with the fire hose off the roof while the roof exploded. These are all things that I've seen so many times, and once the scene hit, I knew it was coming. But all the little scenes in between, I had no idea. I have never ever seen Die Hard.
So what'd you think?
That movie was fucking incredible.
Right?
Yeah. And like, I wanted to, like, there's some cheese in it, but it's cheese because it's from the 80s, the mid 80s, right?
80, 89.
Yeah. Like there's some parts of it that are kind of cheesy. Like him in the whole, Mr. Carl Winslow and him, like that weird gay relationship they have is kind of weird. And, and some of the over-the-top foreign guys with guns, like the guy is pissed off that he killed his brother and shit. And then at the very end, he comes. And I hope that I'm not spoiling this for anybody.
I don't think you
because,
are.
like I said, I think I am the last person ever to have purchased Die Hard.
No, we could talk this whole movie. I don't think anyone.
But yeah, I was watching it expecting like, okay, yeah, I know this is like the top tier for action films, and everybody bases their action films on this, but also. I was like, I know it's going to be kind of corny because it's from the 80s. It wasn't fucking corny at all. I loved every second of that movie. And I understand why everybody loves it now. And I don't understand how I never saw it. Like I said.
Slipped through the cracks.
I saw 3. I saw it with a vengeance. But yeah, I thought you would get a kick out of that. And I enjoyed it as a movie experience. Like, I wish I could go see it in the movies.
Yeah, I never got to see it in the movies, I don't think.
Yeah.
So what'd you think about Bruce Willis's little jokes? Because I think that's a big part of the movie. His little one-liners.
Yeah, right. That's what made that movie so likable, and him, after that, so likable. My favorite little bit that they did is it's in the very beginning when he's running around. And he comes back into the room that he was at,
and the porno is on the wall.
There's a poster of that naked chick,
girls.
and he's just like ladies, like he's in the middle of getting shot at with Uzis and everything, and he stopped, like that shit was funny.
Girls.
All the things that I thought that were going to be corny were fucking funny or well done. I mean, the action was well done. It was well written. Alan Rickman was a fucking maniac in that. Your whole scene with Ellis with the Hans Bobby thing, I was laughing. And that was another thing. That guy cut into that scene. I realized that I'd never seen that scene before because in my mind, I know that scene because you've repeated it word for word so many times in the last 30 years that I've known you. But in my mind, that scene was different. Like it took place in a different place because I guess I was just forming images in my head. So when I actually saw the scene and like where it took place, it was very weird because I had never seen it before, but I knew every word that was going to come out of that guy's mouth to the very end, like everything, which was very weird. And another thing was... everybody knows, especially after Alan Rickman has died now, because so many people put it up. But everybody knows the image, the very last image of him on screen falling from the roof or whatever.
Yeah,
I thought that was from the top of the roof, and it was just like him and like I didn't know how that happened. I didn't know that was hanging out of a window and he was holding on to his wife's thing with the wall. I didn't know any of that, so it was very weird. It was like watching something that I knew but had no idea about, and like kind of relearned the whole thing, and it was a cool experience.
It's funny. The first time. I definitely didn't see it in the movies because the first time I ever saw Die Hard, I watched it with my mom, and my mom loved Die Hard. She loved that movie because she loved Bruce Willis. But
she was a big Moonlighting fan.
Oh, huge! Yeah, we used to watch Moonlighting together all the time.
Bruce and Sybil.
That show was hilarious. He was awesome in that show. But
I was a big fan of his Bartles and James commercials.
Who, Bruce?
Yeah. Remember those from the 80s?
Oh, when he played guitar?
No, he played harmonica. It was just him sitting on a porch with a bunch of hicks, and they're like playing banjo, and he's playing harmonica, and all of a sudden it was like wine coolers, drink wine coolers.
But that scene where Hans gets knocked out the window, and he's holding on to Holly's watch or whatever,
right.
So he doesn't fall. And she's screaming, hanging out the window. My mom was like, "Why is she screaming?" She thought she was like crying because all those bombs were flying out the window, and she was trying to collect them. I was like, nah, it's Hans. He's holding on to it.
You know, a weird thing that I did kind of think, though, while I was watching it is that I didn't, sans his wife, I didn't feel bad for anybody in that building because obviously that company was like an evil company, which was another weird dimension to that film, you know? So it wasn't like these guys came to rob some like obviously like that dude Ellis was a scumbag. You could kind of tell that the older Japanese guy was kind of like a ruthless scumbag. Like even in the beginning when he walks in and Ellis is his name, correct?
Yeah.
Ellis is doing the coke and he's like, this is what's her name's husband, the policeman, like, you know, and like gives him like the thing. You could tell that the way that they made their money was through some shady ass shit.
It was just greed. It was because that was the whole point of them robbing not the whole point. It was just a straight up robbery. But Hans made it seem like they were stealing wealth from the whole world.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. So like,
but he really didn't care about that. He just wanted the money.
No, I understand that. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that while he's offing some of these people off, like the Japanese guy, like Ellis and stuff like that, I really didn't feel bad for them because I was like, these are kind of scumbags anyway. Like that company, if Nagata, what was it called?
Nakatomi.
If not the Nakatomi company like really exist, they were probably one of the reasons that of the recession that we would have went into. You know what I mean? Like these are the evil.
Nakatomi would have got bailed out.
People would have in Occupy Wall Street would have been down there occupying Nakatomi. Yeah. So I didn't feel bad for those people. Yeah, but at the same time, of course, I wanted Bruce Willis and his wife to get out. You know. Yeah, it was fucking. I'm sitting here on the cusp of 36 years old, talking about a movie that came out fucking almost 30 years ago, or probably right about 30 years ago, and I'd never seen it, and now this makes me want to go back and like, what other movies that are like giant? Because I consider myself a cinephile.
Giant like blockbuster action flicks.
That's the thing. Is like I kind of stray away from those.
Yeah, I hear you. I couldn't even tell you what happens in Lethal Weapon.
Right. Well, you know, I think I've seen the Lethal Weapon.
I've seen them, but I never paid attention to them.
But even Die Hard, that wasn't like you know, the movies that come out now I'm kind of apprehensive about. Like I just watched The Martian the other day and it was fucking stupid. That was
supposed to be a comedy, I think.
Well, they build it like that, but my criticism of, or my review of The Martian was, it was like Independence Day, just less believable. Mm-hmm. It was like it was one of those giant, everybody's in the NASA space room and then throwing papers up in the air when the shit goes down. And, you know, if they had Aerosmith come in and do, I don't want to close my eyes.
No, that's Armageddon.
Armageddon, whatever. Any of those films. You know what I mean? It was
another Bruce classic.
Yeah, it was the same fucking shit. Yeah, you're right. And, it was the same fucking thing. And those movies I normally stray away from.
Did you see the Die Hard with Justin Long and Timothy Olyphant, where it's more of a technology-based terrorist
I think
attack?
I did. I think I watched it.
I don't know what it's called. I don't know if it's like a Die Harder or if it's a Die Hard, you know, Live Another Day or some shit like that. But it's a really good one.
Really?
Yeah, it's a good one.
I can't believe that.
No, it is. I swear, it's a good one.
I don't know. I think I did see that, but I don't know. Is that the one where like the bad person was like a hot chick?
Bad person? No, the bad person was Timothy Olyphant.
Okay. Maybe I didn't see it. Because I know there was one where at least one of the bad...
Oh, but his sidekick was like a kind of cute Asian chick.
Yeah, maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
Because there was a weird time, maybe about 10 years ago, where I guess like in order to get a film greenlit, the enemy had to be like some sexy girl. Like they did that Terminator where the Terminator was like some hot chick who was walking around naked. And then I remember that. And like, I don't know where that came from, but there was a period in time where all the antagonists were always hot women in these action films.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And Terminator is another one. I don't think, besides Terminator 2, all the other Terminators just really aren't shit to me. Even Part 1. I like Terminator 2.
Well, Terminator 1 and Terminator 2 are like two completely different things. Terminator 1 wasn't a giant film. Terminator 1 was kind of like a cool, dark, almost sci-fi kind of film.
Yeah.
And then Terminator 2 was this giant blockbuster, you know, blow everything up.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think I see them almost as two completely different films, and I can't compare the two. I like them both equally. Terminator 2 is one of my favorite blow up everything in the world and over the top acting and all that shit. Like I do like that film though, because I'm guessing because the point in my life when I saw it and whatever, you know. Mm-hmm. And I do believe that I saw Terminator 2 before I saw Terminator 1. And then, which would have made sense for our age or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, but when I went back and saw Terminator 1, I was like, oh, this is a great movie. It just has nothing to do with that other movie except the characters, so I like both of them. But then there's never been a good Terminator after that.
No, I haven't seen them, but when they would come out, it would be like, oh, Schwarzenegger's old and, fuck that.
Yeah.
But Bruce doesn't get old. He loses his hair, but he don't get old. He can still rock shit.
I was that was another thing I was thinking about while I was watching Die Hard, because I was like looking at his hair and I was like, is that? I don't know if that was like they helped him out with it or not, or if that was his natural hair at the time. I
think that was his natural.
But right after Die Hard, that motherfucker went like bald.
Yeah,
and he'll wear wigs.
Well,
and
he
shit.
had that little peacock swerve for a little bit.
Yeah, right.
That little
but I did spend a little bit of that movie looking at it and being like, is he wearing a toupee? Or
yeah, he went completely bald right after Pulp Fiction because he had a couple strands during Pulp Fiction.
No, he was pretty bald in Pulp Fiction.
He was pretty bald, but he had that little piece in the front.
Yeah, I guess. Whatever. Hey, look, Bruce Willis is an attractive man. He doesn't need any hair to help him the fuck out.
He's good.
But So
as far as blockbusters go, I can't think of anything bigger than Die Hard, or even on the same level.
Well, everybody, they put that as the, and you could tell, like, I don't know that much about big blockbusters in that way that I couldn't say if there was movies that came before that that Die Hard took from, but you could certainly tell that almost every film that's come out in that vein since then has kind of been doing a version of Die Hard, And even I was even thinking video games, because I'll play video games from every once in a while, and normally I'll play more dorkier strategy games and shit like that. But every once in a while I get caught up in one of these like big like what they call first person shooters or something like that, right? And what they are now, especially in these last generations of video games, is they really are giant Hollywood productions that you just get to play.
They should make a Die Hard video game. That'd be sick.
I think they have, but
I think for Nintendo.
Traditionally, games based off of movies never do well because they just don't put enough effort or money into
Friday
them.
the 13th, the video game.
Yeah, right.
Biggest flop ever.
Although I played that like a motherfucker when I was a kid. Yeah, because and then you would walk into the stupid rooms and then all of a sudden Jason would be there and there was no way to fight him or anything. You had to like run away. But yeah, I was even thinking that. While I was saying like a lot of, because it was almost like a video game that you would play now, where the protagonist starts out with nothing, and he's in this sticky situation, and then as he goes on, he like procures
weapons.
He's got a small gun, then he gets a bigger gun, then he gets explosives, and then he get and that's how video games go. And I was like, there's a lot of video games out there right now that are like the Uncharted series or something, which they're very cool games. It's like playing a big blockbuster movie, and you get to actually control it, which is cool. And that all comes from. So there's so many things that owe what they do now to Die Hard, and I could tell that now from watching the film. I might watch it again.
Oh my God. Every time it comes on, I watch it. It could be 3:00 in the morning. You got work the next day. Die Hard comes on with commercials, and you're like, fuck it.
Well, I'm just going to say I am glad to be in the Die Hard Club finally.
Welcome. Welcome to the party,
years.
pal.
Maybe I can start saying the lines now and feel like I'm not an imposter. I totally thought I saw that movie, though. I don't know.
And you know what? A lot of nerds are going to hate me for saying this, but I feel that Michael Bay has ruined the action blockbuster.
Oh, yeah, sure, of course.
I hate that dude.
Yeah,
I don't even know him, but I hate the movies he makes.
Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I don't see those films, I think the last one, well, Sans Martian, because I got duped into The Martian, and I think a lot of people out there did. Because the way that they sold that film was, Ridley Scott did it, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, cool, I'm down with Ridley Scott films. And it seemed like it was such a smaller... It seemed like this guy was left on Mars and he's got to figure out how to survive. And it seemed like a Castaway on Mars almost.
That's not what it was.
Well,
and he had to like grow food and shit.
Yeah, there was that aspect of it, but it turned, like I'm saying, it turned into such a big Hollywood blockbuster. Like, there were so many A-level actors in it, even if they were only in it for a scene or two. And then they had like forced comedy relief, like Kristen Wiig was there for some fucking reason, and she wasn't even funny, but they just hired her there because they knew people smiled when she came on scene. Everybody was overacting. Every single one of them was almost embarrassingly overacting. And then there's giant things blowing up and and I'm not saying any of that's bad. But there was a level of cheese to it. It was very cheesy.
Like when Tom Lennon shows up in Batman.
I don't even know when that happened.
And then
Tom Lennon from The State shows up in a Batman?
Yeah, the one with Bane.
Well, don't even get me started on those Batman movies. Those are all fucking stupid
I know,
movies.
but the one with Heath Ledger was pretty fucking rad.
Cannot wait until... No, here's the thing about the one with Heath Ledger. Heath Ledger was amazing in that film.
Yeah.
Every other... If there's a scene in that film that Heath Ledger as the Joker isn't in it, it's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
I can't wait until 20 years from now where everybody looks back at those films and goes, what the fuck were we thinking? Because people act like those films were like good fucking cinematic experiences. And I guessed for the level of a comic book film, you know, like some dude running around dressed up like an animal or whatever, I guess they were to a certain point, but they weren't up there with Heath Ledger's performance was hands down. It was amazing. Yeah. You know, and I'm not trying to take that away or anything, but those movies were fucking cheesy, especially that last one. It was like, and I watched them all. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm better than it. I watched them, but man, oof.
Well, we called that from the beginning because Batman is meant to be what Batman was, a fucking. Why can't I think of that dude's name?
Bruce Wayne?
No, Johnny Depp's boyfriend. That he's a weirdo.
Johnny Depp's boyfriend.
Yeah, that puts him in all his movies.
Kate Moss?
No.
You're talking about Tim Burton.
Yeah, Tim Burton. It's meant to be a Tim Burton movie. It's a comic book. It's supposed to be, you know, black lights and fucking and cartwheels, you know? Like how
I thought
the Michael Keaton Batman
was.
I
thought people look back at the Michael Keaton Batman, and I'm just talking about the first one. Whatever you think about the second one, whatever. But the first one, I look at that one. People look at that as corny. Because, like, you know, Jack Nicholson was wearing the purple suit with the squirty flower, and there was it was more cartoonish.
But that's
and
what it's supposed
like that.
to be,
right? And I look back at that, and I find that to be a darker movie. I think
that's that Tim Burton effect.
The Tim Burton, that first Batman was a very dark movie. You know, like there was comic book aspects of it, but that's what he was trying to. He was trying to relate to people, saying like, this is also a comic book, but we're doing a dark version of this comic book.
Yeah,
and the Christopher Nolan ones. They were like meant to be super dark, but ended up just kind of being corny.
They're
like,
not super dark. I think they're more action movies.
Yeah, right, exactly. But you know, there was no like purple, like bright purple suits and fucking, you know, like you know, all that shit. Like there wasn't that going on. Like everybody was like kind of dingy and bloody, and
Joker was supposed to be a real dude.
Yeah, and they dealt with the underground mob and all that shit. You know, like they tried to make it more realistic, and in that way, I think they kind of made it cornier. I don't know. I know, and again,
no, I totally
like
agree
most
with that.
of my opinions in this world, I know I'm wrong. Everybody loves those fucking films. I was at a party one time with this dude, and I think I just made an off comment about how that movie like sucked. Now, granted, this is the type of guy who would actually wear like a Batman t-shirt. if you're over 30 years old and you're wearing a shirt that has a superhero emblem on it, anyway. But he like got legit mad at me, and I wasn't even being negative about it. I was just kind of like, oh yeah, I think I said exactly what I just said to you. I was like, yeah, every time Heath Ledger's on screen, it's awesome, but every time he's not, it kind of sucks. And he was like, what? And like got up like out of his chair and was like, that's the greatest movie, and like started like fucking freaking out over it. And I was like, okay, sorry, dude. You know, like we're adults here, and you're yelling at me about a movie about a guy who dresses up like a fucking rodent. You know?
Yeah, I don't get the whole Christian Bale as Batman thing.
And I love Christian Bale.
Yeah, but not as Batman.
No, I know.
As American Psycho, maybe.
As Patrick Bateman, he was amazing in that movie, The Fighter.
Where'd you park the car, boo-boo?
Yeah, he was great in that film, you know? But when is Batman? Batman. I don't know. I don't get it. They tried too hard. Mm-hmm. The only thing I like about Batman is in that Heath Ledger Batman film, that like temporary bat cave that they had with all the lights on the ceiling that was like real claustrophobic and low. I want to go live there.
What, it was just like a garage.
Yeah, I know, but it was cool because you turned it on and all those lights came in. It was like crazy long and shit. I don't know. I like that a lot.
It was like a warehouse.
The only other thing I wanted to say about Die Hard before I forget, and then we can move on. I didn't mean to take up 20 minutes on Die Hard, but
deserves it.
I know. But the only other thing that I was thinking about while I was watching that film was that back then, ugly people could still be in movies.
That's the 80s,
because
baby.
Everybody in that movie is fucking ugly. Besides, Bruce Willis and his wife. They're both very attractive human beings. But everybody else, like, they use the dude from The Goonies in it. And at one point, they do a fucking...
what dude from The Goonies?
One of the sons. He plays the FBI guy that
yeah.
gets burned up in the helicopter.
Yep.
And when the FBI, when the FBI shows up and they do a real slow pull-in shot on him, and he's smoking a cigarette, and then the guy says like, "This is my operation," and he says, "Not anymore."
Yeah.
Like, it's like one of those Hollywood tropes.
Yep.
But they do this slow pan in on his face, and you just see every crater in this, and he's greasy looking. Like he's like greasy. He's got craters all over his face. Fucking Winslow's an ugly fuck. Everybody that works at that, including like Ellis and all those dudes, they're all like these greasy, ugly people. And I was like, if they remade that film right now, every single one of them would have been like models. It would have been like it would have been like Channing Tatum and like the fucking whatever that dude from Neighbors is, that Zac Efron who's always showing his ass off. It would have been all those dudes. Like there's no way in hell that guy, the Italian guy from The Goonies and from Die Hard, would ever be able to get work today.
Yeah, that dude needs some Bill Phil.
Yeah, he's a serious Bill Phil candidate.
No doubt.
Yeah.
He's worse than Bill.
I would say he is. Yes.
Yeah, no doubt.
I don't know if he's worse than that girl that you actually call Bill Phil, but
yeah, maybe.
So yeah, I watched Die Hard finally. I feel free. I feel free about
Congrats.
it. This winter is killing me though. It's killing me.
I know.
I hope everybody at home, if you listen to this and you live in the northeastern area, survived. What the fuck was it called?
Jonas.
Storm Jonas.
There was a thing on Facebook that killed me because I got in from shoveling the snow, and I'm like, man, I'm fucking 35. My back's killing me from shoveling the snow. And someone posted a thing about Mike Tyson, and it says how I feel after I shovel 30 feet of snow.
I saw
it.
Like,
my back is broken.
It was like after one of his fights.
Yeah.
When he was doing the thing.
My back's broke. And they're like, what is that? One of your vertebrae chipped or something? He's like, it's spinal. I was crying.
Dude, Mike Tyson is the fucking best.
I watched that show.
Oh, how
I
great
watched
is
that
it?
show.
How fucking great
it was great. It was great. I fell asleep during it because it was really late, but it was fun.
Well, there's two seasons of it. There's enough to why, you know. It's so fucking funny. Why is Mike Tyson always funny? He's just always funny. Is it just his voice, or the fact that he was like this monster that used to be able to destroy people, and now he's just this pigeon-loving weirdo?
It's because he doesn't know what words mean.
Yeah, right.
That's the funniest thing.
Right, I'm eat your children.
Yeah.
Like that whole thing.
My style is perpetual.
He is just a maniac, and he's cool with being a maniac. Like that, he's a dude that just likes being who he is. You know, he's like, I'm Mike Tyson, and yeah, you guys want to make fun of me? That's cool. I'll make fun of me too. You know, like, give me money to be in your stupid hangover film. Or,
that's what it is.
You know, or like, I'll say these lines in this cartoon and make it funny and kind of make fun of myself. Like, but that's cool as shit, you know. Like, like Evander Holyfield or fucking who's that new guy now that
Conor McGregor?
No, the guy that just beat Manny Pacquiao. He's like the big one.
Oh, Mayweather.
Yeah, right. Like, or Mayweather. Like, they'll never be like that. You know, they take themselves all seriously and want to sit in their mansion and shit. Tyson's like a cool ass dude.
Yeah.
If he's not beating you up or raping you, he's fucking awesome. But yeah, the winter has fucking been killing me, man. And I've done so much to be positive in this last year, right? So I've like really been trying to change my life, which I talk about on this podcast, you know, through meditation and like and exercising and trying to eat healthy and trying to lay off the booze as much and blah, 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 blah. And I've been doing really well. And like, I don't know if it's the snowstorm. I don't know if it's been being stuck in the house for the last few days or whatever it is.
January, February are always depressing months.
I've had this like total psychological fallout the last few days where it's like really just it's been hard to be me. And it sucks.
It's just the winter, man. No one should, unless you love the winter, which is weird if you do. But it's just, it fucking takes a toll on you. It's just depressing, I think.
Yeah.
I need the sunshine. I need fucking, you know, windows open and shit. You know, I can't take the whole barricade myself and turning on the heat kills me.
Yeah.
I get, you know, my fucking blood pressure boils. I fucking strip my clothes off. And
start getting like nosebleeds and shit.
Oh my God. I have panic attacks from heat. When I hear that heat click on, I go into panic attacks.
I get that when I listen to The Heat. No, I'm just kidding. As a matter of fact, not to throw off subject, but I think we should start playing a song or two on here.
If you got them,
I got them. I'll transfer them. You know what? Next episode, after Bear vs. Shark, we're going to open the episode with a Heat song. We'll figure it out. But
right.
to you listeners at home who have no idea who the Heat is, I promise you that you'll enjoy this. But yeah, man, it's
I don't know about promising.
Yeah, no. Okay. Well, I don't.
You might enjoy it.
I don't need to come through with my. Oh, another thing I know, dude. You've been saying that, and I'm sorry how inside this is for anybody who doesn't know him, but you've been saying forever that David Bowie looks like Will Mayo.
Seen it?
Holy shit, dude. I saw a picture the other day where I thought it was Mayo, and then I looked at it again and realized that it was Bowie. And I was like, RTG, that son of a bitch.
I ruined Bowie.
You ruined Bowie for me.
Seriously, though, that's one thing I pride myself on is I know when someone looks like somebody, I'm always spot on.
No, you're good, man, because that looked like Mayo fucking for real. For anybody at home, Mayo is a friend of ours who's just like, you know, he's just one of these maniacs we hang out with, but he's the farthest person in the world from Bowie. He probably doesn't even know who David Bowie is.
No, and if he did, he'd say his name wrong.
And, well, if you listen to The Heat, you'll hear Mayo rap at some point. Yeah, so anyway, it feels good to be in this room doing this with you. I was actually looking forward to it. But this weekend, man, being stuck in with the snow. You know, when I was living up near the city, I don't think the winters hit me as hard because...
Really? I think they'd be worse up there.
No, it sucked. Like going into Manhattan to work when it snowed, like, obviously you deal with all the slush and you realize how dirty of a fucking shithole Manhattan could be and all that stuff. But... there was still a thing of, you know, like even the area that I lived in downtown Jersey City, I didn't have a car. You didn't need a car. Everything was there. Mm-hmm. So like even if there was a ton of snow, you could still just throw on your boots and go walk down the street somewhere. And go to the bar, go wherever you want. Living here, even though there's like bars around the corner, but it doesn't have to do with bars, but whatever. But it's just like you need a car, and then like the first day and a half, you can't even drive a fucking car, and you're just stuck, and it just. This weekend was hard for me, and I tried to like entertain myself, and you know I smoked a ton of weed, and I just fucking I worked on songs, I worked on the podcast, I did anything creative I could keep going with, but at the end of it, man, like even today, I woke up in like this funk where I was just like, ugh.
There's nothing like a nice spring day, waking up on a day off, windows open, blasting music, having a beer or smoking some weed, and like doing shit you got to do with like you could smell that spring in the air, and you're gonna go outside later. There's nothing like that. Well, in the winter, you wake up, you want to go back to bed. It's dark. It gets dark early. Windows are slammed shut. Heat is blasting at 80. Anxiety is pumping.
That's another thing. I will keep a window open. I don't give a fuck. If I lived in Alaska, there would be a window open. I don't care. I need fresh air into my life. I start feeling that like kind of fucking weird ass thing. You know? No, I get it. When I was here over the summer, like I was bummed, and I've gone through this before, so I don't want to like get deep into it. But one of the decisions I made in this overhaul that I'm doing on my life was to move back to the suburbs. It was just the right choice. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to stay where I was, but I saw the writing on the wall, and I knew that I would just be keeping myself afloat, just turning my wheels, trying to stay there, probably stay in my shitty job. So I sucked my pride, and made a decision to move back to the suburbs so I could change my life for the better. I do not regret it. But over the summer, I was actually having fucking fun here. Because, like where we are right now is a really short jump to the beach. I was riding my bike to the beach every day, swimming in the ocean, hanging out with people, going to parties, like seeing a bunch of people.
You get to be outside.
Meeting women. It was great. It was a fun ass time. And then I forgot how during the winter in this area, everything just shuts the fuck down.
Yep.
And it's a depressing thing.
I know. And we're like right in the dead middle of it because February just gets worse.
February's the worst. I have a birthday in February, and I've never had a good birthday. Not that I want one because I don't give a fuck about. Well, I mean, I've had fun on my birthday, but I'm talking about like most of the time growing up, I almost always had to shovel on my birthday. Always.
Oh yeah, you said that.
Yeah, like I can't tell you how many.
Because there's always snow around Valentine's Day. Your birthday's like 3 days after Valentine's Day.
Right. Yeah, my birthday's February 17th, and there's always like a President's Day weekend snowstorm.
Always.
Something like that. And I'm not looking forward to it. I'm just fucking done. After shoveling here, the last thing, I'm just fucking done with it.
My back's broke. Final.
I gotta watch that again. I saw that same thing. It must be somebody that we mutually know that put that.
I was crying.
Whoever put that on Facebook. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And he looks all concerned too. My back.
Well, he's all fucked up, like he's all just like fucking crazy confused, like, man, Mike Tyson is the greatest human being. It's fucking not even close. He might be like, I wish he was running for president. I would vote for Mike Tyson.
Oh God.
We're gonna look, it wouldn't be any worse than Donald Trump. And mark my words right now, whether you like it or not, Donald Trump is going to be the next president of the United States of America.
Insane.
It's gonna happen. At first I thought that. My feeling on that at first was, well, this is funny. Donald Trump's running, And then I was like, holy shit, people are really liking Donald Trump. And then I was like, but he's still not going to fucking be president. Now I'm convinced that this guy is going to be the president of the United States of fucking America.
That'd be a joke.
Here's the reason why, though. And
because he appeals to those gunslinging Republicans.
I don't think that's it. I refuse to, and I may be wrong. I refuse to think that America is that stupid. I refuse to think that human beings on that level are that inherently stupid. They can't be.
Don't fight it.
They can't be.
Yeah.
If I think that, I might as well just go fucking leave the car running in the garage after this fucking thing, which I might anyway. There's always a good choice.
Go drink some Gatorade.
Yeah, I'll go drink some Gatorade. Fucking, I'll go find Alan Wrench and give him $50,000. But it can't be, and I refuse to believe that, at least. And so my theory is, and it's not my theory. I mean, I'm sure people have talked about it, but I think the thing about Donald Trump is that he's not controlled by fucking corporations, and he's actually, whether it's the most bigotry, racist, misogynist, fucking craziest shit you've ever heard, which it is, but he's actually saying what he feels. And this is the first politician ever that I know of, you know? I mean, I don't know, fucking Chester A. Arthur might have been a straight shooter, but I wasn't fucking around then. This is the first politician ever that is like actually just up there saying what he feels. And I think that's such a breath of fresh air. Such a breath of fresh air that the country is just saying, like, yeah, you know what? I don't even care. Like, I think subconsciously we're thinking that, because I'm not going to go vote for Trump. I don't vote anyway, but because it just doesn't make any sense. We live in an area where, whatever, we don't need to get in that. But I'm not going to go vote for Trump. But at the same time, there's a little piece of me that's like, okay, yeah, let's just see what happens here, because nobody else out there is going to be any better. And whether they're saying these things, like these crazy racist, weird fucking things that he's saying, most of them are probably thinking it anyway. You know, like they're just lying because they're politicians, and that's what politicians do. So at least it's a very interesting look at our society and how fed up, hopefully, we are with the regular political process, and how much of a farce the presidency is anyway. That's another thing. Everybody knows that the president doesn't do anything, you know? So people are saying, like, why not just fucking see what happens with this guy? Because everybody else is a piece of shit anyway, you know?
Yeah.
So
at least if Trump becomes president, I can get a job, because I'll move down south and help build that motherfucking wall.
That's where I fucking I draw the line, man.
The Great Wall of Trump.
It's the dumb. Come on, man. You're gonna fucking make a wall, but it just doesn't make any sense. It's 2016. You're gonna make a wall? Like, what the fuck is this? I don't get that at all. And then he's like, keeps saying that he's gonna have Mexico pay for it. How are you going to do that?
Yeah, right.
And also, why would you want to do that? I don't want to get that political on the show.
It's just crazy talk.
But yeah, I mean, I honestly right now believe that in a year from now or whatever it is, that Donald Trump is going to be our president.
That would be hilarious.
And then
hey, Ronald Reagan did it.
Yeah, right. Ronald Reagan was an actor.
He was kind of a straight shooter, I think.
Well, it depends on if you agree on his politics or not.
Yeah.
And growing up a punk rocker, I do not agree with his politics.
Right.
You know, listening to Reagan Youth, or the Dead Kennedys was you pretty much had to not like Ronald Reagan, even though I was too young to understand any sort of politics. I did like when he showed up in this season of Fargo, though. That was cool.
I think nothing's ever going to touch the Clinton years, man. We were just living in a good time.
Well, the economy was definitely good during the Clinton years. Yeah. You can't deny that, you know? And whatever the circumstances may be. Again, I'm very apprehensive against giving presidents too much credit for anything, because I really feel like they're more figureheads than anything.
Of course.
But yeah, during those Clinton years, I mean, that was the fucking 90s. We were rocking, baby. We fucking smelled like Teen Spirit and fucking and everybody had some work to do, and everyone was making money and buying houses, and none of that has happened since.
Nah.
Through the 8 years of the Bush, and then of the Bush, and then the fucking 8 years of the bombs.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's sad.
Well, but at least it could be interesting.
Yeah.
You know, like, how much is it? Like, it doesn't affect me any. I'm a single fucking dude in his mid-30s with a very small amount of money saved up. Like, I don't have anything to lose. I don't, I rent. I don't own a home. I don't own anything. You know, like so to me, this might be selfish, but I'm like, fuck it, blow it up. Who gives a shit?
Bring it on.
Let's see how weird we can fucking get, Let's turn this United States into some weirdness. Look, the empire has to fall sooner or later.
Right.
Well, why not we be a part of it?
Right.
Like, fuck it.
I don't want to be a part of it, but
why not?
It'd be nice to watch.
It's like that thing where, when people ask you how you want to die, and I don't know if I've said this before, but whenever somebody asks me how I want to die, I always say, like, during Armageddon. Like, I want to die with everybody. I want to see the fucking, like, the laser hit or the asteroid hit and then the slow Terminator thing come and start evaporating people. I want to be a part of that.
Everyone turn into skeletons.
Yeah, that's why I want to die. And I don't know if that's my selfishness of I don't want the world to go on after I'm dead, which might be psychologically in some Freudian way. I'm sure that's fucking what it is.
Sounds like it.
But more than that, I would just like to see this huge extinction event. If it's going to happen, I'd like to be there for it.
Yeah.
We
only get to see it for a second until we're wiped.
Yeah, right. But why not be a part of it? It'd be better than fucking, having a heart attack or a stroke or something, like fucking imagine that. You like go outside to not that I've ever walked outside to get the newspaper in my life, but let's just say I'm a real person at this point in time and I'm like have a cup of Joe and I'm in my robe.
In your robe.
Yeah. And I walk outside to get the newspaper and then all of a sudden I look up and there's this like giant fucking spaceship or something, it'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, it would be kind of cool.
So, what did, we were talking about college stories before we started the show.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Always the weird jump.
I will tell one. I'll tell one right now. All right. I will keep, this is a dev heavy episode. RTG's on them, which I'm sure the people at home are like, why just let RTG say crazy shit?
I like it.
The episodes that do very well for us are always one that has RTG in the title. It's always like, whatever, like fucking Shrinky Dinks and politics, and RTG gets arrested, and it's like bing, 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 and we get all the hits, and then the next one's like 3 normal things, and it's like
people just like listen to what a degenerate I am.
Well, I wanted to tell. I didn't want to tell it, but we were talking about it before.
I find it to be a very amusing story.
So there was a girl in college. And I don't like talking about the past girls that much because I was always kind of a dating guy. I mean, there has been a lot of, one night stands, whatever you may call them. But for the most part, I don't like to get too graphic with girls in this because a lot of them are people I'm still friends with or at least have respect for or anything like that. But there was this one chick in college and she was, I don't know. How would you describe this chick?
We worked with her. She was just friends of friends who showed up at parties, right?
Yeah. And she was kind of like a maniac. And I'm not going to lie. She wasn't the most attractive girl on the face of the earth. She was probably normally something that I probably wouldn't have been attracted to for the most part. So one thing came to another, and we were at a party, and we ended up like starting making out like fucking Teen Wolf style in a closet, right? And so I bring her back to the APT, A19, Stockton College, represent. And we're having a fun time, like so. But here's the thing that happened during this is I remember I'm trying to have sex with this lady, and I don't know if I was too drunk or it was that I just wasn't that like fucking attracted to her.
Well, she would like molest you.
She was very handsy and very like aggressive. And I remember while we were having sex, she was getting disappointed and almost aggravated because I kept kind of losing my heart on, right?
I thought you were gonna say because you weren't at work.
No.
This is great, but I want to fuck at work.
And I was rooming with another dude at the time, and we were having sex. Not the other dude, me and this girl, and it just wasn't working. I would put a condom on, and then I would get soft, and then I would try again, and then I would get soft. And
that's why it's the fucking condoms.
Yeah, but I wasn't banging this chick without a condom. Condoms are going down. I mean, the only other time I ever even talked to this girl was like a conversation over the Fryolator, and. So anyway, the whole point was that she's kind of the girl that if you were to have sex with, like most people who did at college, that your buddies, like AKA RTG or somebody else, would probably make fun of you for a while, which happened as well. And anyway, the whole thing went on, and we had this night of failed lovemaking for the most part. And then I wanted her to leave, and she wouldn't leave. She like passed out drunk in my bed. So I was like, all right, fuck it. And I went to sleep already kind of ashamed of what I did. and passed out. And I woke up in the morning, and I was having a dream that I was doing something with my fingers. I forget exactly what was in the dream. Do you remember what was in the dream?
I don't remember. I thought you were dreaming about her.
No, I wasn't dreaming about her. But I woke up and I was rubbing something in my hand, like if I would, I don't know how I could even explain it, but just taking my thumb and kind of rubbing it against my middle finger and my forefinger, and I was having this like pleasant dream, and I woke up and I'm still rubbing something in my hand, and I look over and in my hand was a cockroach, and the cockroach was on its back, and with my thumb I was lightly rubbing its stomach, and the cockroach was like sitting there like. Like I don't know how this cockroach crawled into my hand and how I began to massage it without crushing it or anything like that. I was massaging a cockroach, and then the craziest part about it was that chick was gone. So I thought in my head that the girl had turned into a cockroach, and it was just the best metaphor for what had happened that night. Like I went to bed with this girl that may not be the most attractive girl in the world, had a horrible night of sex with her. She passed out in my bed when I didn't want her to. Woke up massaging a cockroach, and
the roach was loving it.
I was like, this is the low point of my life. But a few weeks later, so that girl then was like trying to pursue me, and I was trying to I would see her on campus and like put my book in front of my face and like that kind of thing. And
she went to school there?
I don't know if she went to school there, but we
worked with her.
But we also lived in such a close proximity to our work that I would see her walking through the parking lot and stuff like that. And she always came to actually, yes. She not only did she go there, she lived in A-Court. She lived across the street upstairs. Yeah. Now that I remember this, because my roommate at the time, Anthony, was like friends with her.
Oh God!
And that's how I saw her all the time. And one of our roommates sold weed, and it was like known around campus that if you wanted to buy a dime bag to come over A19, and
got any. Get in the fucking apartment.
So one night, we fucking we're at a party, and I don't even know where it was, and it wasn't off campus, but we're at a party, and the girl starts hitting me. How would she hit me up? Did we have cell phones then? Yeah. So she starts hitting me up, and she's like, can you meet me at your apartment? And I was like, no. And she was like, but I want to buy a bag of weed. I really need weed. Can you just help me out? And I was like, all right, fine. So I went back to our apartment and you guys were still at the party. It was like some big party was going on. I go back to the apartment. I get a bag of weed. I wait for her to show up. My plan was to just give her the bag of weed, get the money, put the money in the fucking thing, and get the fuck out of there. And she shows up, and she's in like a sultry you could, it wasn't like a trench coat, but you could tell that she was going for that effect. And I was like, hey, what's up? And she's like, nothing. I was like, here's your bag of weed. And she was like, well, I was just hoping that me and you could hang out a little bit. And I was like, yeah, I'm at this party or whatever, you could definitely hit me up later. I was just trying to be nice, I'm not a confrontational dude or whatever, especially with women. And then she starts fucking basically, okay, so first she takes off whatever this is, and she just has her fucking lingerie on underneath. Like she had just watched one of these corny movies where a girl did that and it actually worked, you know? But it was like the weirdest thing in the world. And then she started like grabbing my dick and shit, and she kept going like, "I love you, Peter."
I don't remember this.
Yeah, well, because you weren't there. It was just me and her in a dark apartment. Yeah, and she was like, and I was like, yeah, okay. So I was like, I gotta go take a piss. I'd been drinking all night. I had to piss. I was like, just put your clothes on. I gotta go take a piss. So I went into our bathroom and I took a piss. And as I'm taking a piss, all of a sudden, hands come around. She had come into the bathroom, and as I was taking a piss,
she's a rapist.
Yeah, this girl was molesting me, right? And I didn't want any part of this. So at this point, now I'm taking a piss. I'm trying to take a piss. She's trying to rub everything that she can. She's standing behind me with like her body pressed to my back and everything in our small ass bathroom where the toilet was right next to the bathtub. And so at this time, she's doing all this. I hear somebody come stumbling into the apartment, like, and I was like, oh man,
it was me?
Yeah, of course, it was fucking you. Who else stumbles into the apartment? So now I'm in the bathroom with this girl molesting me, trying to get out of this situation, and you start banging on the door, and you start going like, "Let me in, I gotta piss. Let me in, I gotta piss." And I didn't know what to do, and I didn't want her on me, so I mushed her face, right? And I mushed her, and now she's in her underwear, like, and in like real skimpy, like see-through underwear and shit. And I mushed her face, and she fell into the bathtub. And then and she kind of got like dazed, like she like hit her head.
I was wondering why you guys were in the tub.
Yeah, no, I wasn't in the tub. I pushed her into the tub to get her off of me. And so at this point, I looked at her. I finished up my piss. I looked at her. She was laying in the tub with like her one tit hanging out of her fucking thing, like all like kind of, and she was like kind of dazed. And I was like, it's just. I opened the door and I was like, it's all you, Richie. And I remember I walked out and you walked in, and I heard you start pissing. Like I heard that you were pissed, and I hear you go, "Oh hey, what's up?" Like you just looked over at this naked chick who was half passed out after being thrown into a bathtub while you're pissing. It was the funniest.
Those
fucking
days
thing.
are awesome.
It's such dude bro shit, but it was funny as
Yeah,
shit.
that's what college is.
It was very, very funny.
Yeah, so right around that same time frame in history was the decoy. You don't remember the decoy?
This is what started this conversation. You brought this up before the show, and I didn't really remember.
Because you thought the decoy was Ziggy Nose, but it wasn't. It was a different person. Mm-hmm. But with the decoy, there was this girl at college, and I was so fucking in love with this girl, but she was like married to this dude. So it can.
Okay, so let me ask you this, without saying any names. Like, who was this girl? What did she look like? Blonde.
Blonde, yeah.
Okay.
Tall chick. She was. I think she was on the soccer team.
Okay. All right. I think maybe
her name was Daniela.
Got it. Go ahead.
You know what I'm talking about?
I think so. I just wanted a better picture.
Yeah.
Of her.
So she went out with this dude that I was like actually friends with, and they were on and off forever. So I thought there was no chance. Which, of course, at like the last day of school.
You're trying to bang your friend's girlfriend.
Yeah, well, I wasn't trying. I was just like, I love this chick, and there's no way. But I remember like the last 2 days of school, I like was all wasted. I went through. I was like, I've had the biggest crush on you. She's like, why didn't you tell me? I wanted to blow my brains out. But anyway, so I find this girl that looks almost exactly like her. A little bit shorter, but almost exact like her fucking twin.
Her doppelganger?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
this I remember.
So I was like, this will do.
Just the concept of I'm in love with this one girl, so I'm just gonna go find a girl that kind of looks like her in a little weird way and just fucking take her home.
So I take this chick home, and she pulls the old leaving the underwear at the apartment so she could have to come back and get it and like revisit it.
The George Costanza move.
Yeah, but the best part about it was the ultimate walk of shame because she was in like some nice ass dress from the party from the night before, but she didn't want to rock that home with like the heels and shit. So I gave her this fleece that just barely went past like her ass crack. So it looked like she was wearing nothing but this fleece. And me and Dev had to go to class, and she's walking like 3 paces ahead of us as we walked to class, and just snickered behind her as she held her high heels and walked back to class.
Well, yeah, because we lived, I think we talked about this also, but in college we lived on a fucking lake. It was called Lake Fred. And we had to literally cross this lake to get to campus. So it was like probably, a half mile, not a half mile.
It was a good walk.
Yeah, so we woke up for our 8 o'clock in the morning classes, and this girl was wearing this skimpy thing, and we walked behind her laughing at her the whole time while she was literally doing that thing where you try to pull your shirt down so far that it'll actually cover your ass.
Yeah.
And the whole fucking way.
Because she left her underwear at my apartment, so obviously underneath this fleece, she was ass naked.
Right.
So she was feeling the lake effect breeze under this fucking
She was feeling
fleece.
the cold breeze off the lake into her bare vagina.
Exactly. And she had to walk all the way back to the dorms and just fucking in nothing but a fleece.
That was a literal walk of shame.
I know.
Because not only was she doing a walk of shame, she also had 2 heavily drunk fucking assholes behind her laughing at her the
I
whole
know.
time.
I always kind of feel bad when I think about it, but every time there's a walk of shame situation, that always pops into my head. Like, there's no walk of shame more shameful than that one.
I hear these stories, and I would not consider myself or you like a dude bro type or whatever. When I hear these stories, I guess it's just indicative of being in like your early 20s.
Yeah, we were 21. We were alcoholics. It happens.
Yeah, if you're a dude in your early 20s, it's very hard not to be like a woman chasing asshole.
And yeah, you're in college. And there's drunk chicks everywhere. What are you gonna do?
No.
Not participate?
No, look, it's just.
I would do it all over again if I could.
No, I love these stories. I don't have any problem with them. It was fine. I would mush another girl into a bathtub if I could. But it's just weird to look back at him as an older person who's been through a lot, you know, and then and be like, was that even me? Like, would I even do that? Like, if I was walking behind some chick right now who was trying to cover her naked ass with like a t-shirt, I would probably
help her out, right?
I'd probably wrap something around her and be like, come on, honey, let's get you home.
Would you cover yourself?
We've all had better days. Let's get out of here.
I know.
Instead of fucking sitting there laughing, worrying about my fucking calm fucking presentation I had to do that morning.
Yeah, but I would always get like bitch slapped by God. Like it would always come back. It would always come back to me like some stupid shit would happen to me. Like, you know, not every guy, but I'm sure there's guys out there that have put their girlfriend's underwear on. Don't fucking lie, you've all done it.
Yeah,
sure. You put the thong on, you paraded around the bedroom dancing to Barbie Girl. Don't stop playing.
Wait, you saw that video?
What? No, I did that. Maybe not the Barbie Girl, but definitely to some tune. Why, you did that too?
Look, whatever. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I put on these little underwear, and on the butt it said "playa,"
which just shows what type of girl you were banging.
Yeah, I know. So I was rocking the tune, but this is how God got me back. So her stomach was covered with the finishing remnants of a barrage or whatever you want to call it. The nicest way I could possibly say semen.
I think semen's pretty nice.
Is it?
Yeah.
All right, so her stomach is covered in my semen.
There's many other words for semen that are worse than semen.
So she's laying there and watching me dance around with underwears that say "playa." So I'm dancing, I'm getting into it. I'm like laughing my ass off, and I like dove back into bed, and I went face first to the puddle.
So like your own mixture was on her body,
yep.
And then you jumped on the bed and your face went into it.
I fell right into it face first, and I picked my head up all quick, like, what happened? And it was like dripping.
How did I never hear that fucking story?
Because I'm just at a comfortable age where I can just let these things out
on a podcast that's on iTunes. You've never even told me this story. Me and you just hanging out as friends. You're in playa underwear with cum on your face,
wearing a thong that says "playa."
All right, dude. There's no way that it gets any better than that. Oh fuck!
I never told you that.
I don't think so. If you did, it was. Anyway, thanks for listening to this episode of the Awkward AHI5 podcast.
Don't judge me.
Go on iTunes and leave a written review so we could have a party and you could be there with us. And Richie will wear women's underwear while he drinks a goldfish and then dives into, I don't know. And then also follow us on Twitter. Awkward AHI5 on Twitter. Let's get that going, please. If you dig the show, hit us up. We could start having some contests and some fun shit. And if you leave a review on iTunes and you want Awkward High5 stickers, you can email us at awkwardhigh5podcast@gmail.com. Or if you just want to shoot the shit with me. With only me, though, because Richie doesn't know how to use email. But you could certainly, if you want to talk about anything in the previous episodes, or you have questions, or you want to suggest anything, I'm always checking that email, and I'm always talking with everybody. I think to a person, anybody who's emailed me, I've started a pen pal friendship with. So feel free to do that, and we'll see you in a few short days.
Even though my chest hurts, smoke you up. Get more pain, less, wanna smoke you up. Inhale my best, and I'm out of love. With breath, wanna smoke you up. Even though my chest hurts, smoke you up. Get more pain, less, wanna smoke you up. Inhale my best, and I'm out of love. Surrounded by
Thanks for listening to the Awkward High5 podcast. For more episodes, visit awkwardhigh5.com.